Welcome to your Math 20-1 online anytime Moodle course page. On this course page, you're going to find a lot of links to all of the different kinds of resources that will help you successfully complete Math 20-1. If you open up the page on a laptop or a desktop and you've got your windows maximized, on the right-hand side, you're going to see these information blocks. These information blocks are just little bits of information to make easily accessible, such as things like how to contact your instructor, how to contact the online advisor, how to get a course extension if you need a little bit more time. If you open up on a tablet or on your phone and you go to your Moodle course page, you'll still have these information blocks, but these blocks will actually now be at the bottom of the page versus on the right-hand side page like we see right now. Your main information is going to be in the middle. This is where you're going to find where your lessons are, your assignments, and your exams. When it comes to navigating Moodle, they also have like a little navigation menu here that you can use to jump to the different sections. So the sections that we have, you've got the general section, which is what the top of the page, and then we've got a course forums, chat room, which is optional. You don't have to do them, but they are there if you want to interact with other students. The detailed course information section, which has a lot of important information, which I'll highlight here. And then each of the units will have their own little section where it's got their lessons, including the class video examples, assignments, and exams. The midterm also has its own section, and so does the final exam. Now you can use the navigation menu here to help you move from section to section. You can also use scrolling and scroll down, and it will also find you there as well. So here's what the sections look like on the main page. I've got them all closed right now, but to open them, you just click on the little side arrow here. So if I open up the course forums and chat rooms section, it's got a forum here, discussion group for help. If you want to do a weekly study group, I believe a student had opened that. You can definitely participate in that, absolutely. These forums are mostly for interacting with other students. If you got specific questions or you need help with certain lessons and stuff, I recommend emailing the instructors, and so then one of the instructors can get back to you fairly quickly. In the detailed course information, when I click and you open it up, this is where you're going to find a lot of useful information. So you're going to have a little bit of Math 10C review information. It might be a good idea to check that over if you haven't looked at it in a while. This is the link to that personal schedule. In your welcome email, we would have given you a start date, a schedule from your start date and your end date. When you go in there, you can put what date you're starting. So today I'm going to start April 28th. And maybe I don't want to finish up what my course end date is. I want to finish by June 30th. I can adjust that. I can also say, give me non-instructional days off, give me holidays off. And then it adjusts the schedule. Now the suggested schedule, it's not, the dates aren't set in stone. These are guidelines to kind of help you be on track to meet your goal of writing that final exam on that end date. So in this example, I want to finish for June 30th. Then it's recommended that I write on May 5th, my Unit 1 test, and that I finish these 2 lessons by April 29th. So how to read this 1.1, that means it's Unit 1, Lesson 1 on entire mixed radicals. And so again, it's just giving you that kind of guideline. And you can go in there and adjust that as you go. But those dates aren't set in stone. They're just a guideline to help you finish on time. There's information about what makes students successful. I strongly recommend going out on your first day or so, just checking out all these different links. Click on stuff. There are PDF versions of your workbook here. It is printable. However, if you're wanting to print out every single unit lesson, it might be more cost effective to just buy the workbook versus printing each lesson. If you are a person who wants it just digitally, the digital version is free. In each unit, we also have video enhanced lessons where you'll find the class examples that it's all digital, and I'll show you guys those as well. You can also see the detailed solution where it's worked out solutions. There's also links to a couple of resources, online resources where the Khan Academy and IXL, where they give really good math tutorial videos. So if you're needing some extra help and you want some extra videos on a certain concept, you do have to kind of search there a little bit, but they do have some really good videos. Each of the units will follow the same pattern as to how they're laid out. So when you open up the unit section, it'll start off with your unit lessons. Now, Unit 1's got a little bit of extra information because it's giving some instructions on how to use each of these lessons. So if I go and I've got my unit lessons here, I've got the learning outcomes, so it's all the general learning outcomes that you'll be learning about. So it works really good as a checklist of your understanding. The practice exam, extra questions, to practice up to see if you're ready to write the exam. Now the assignment gets submitted in and gets marked by an instructor and will give you feedback. We recommend wait for our feedback before you write the exam. That way, if there is any misconceptions or any areas that you're struggling with, then you can work on those, study those areas, maybe even have a meeting with the instructor before you write your exam. Now your unit exams, they're all open booked and they're unproctored. So what that means is that you can write that unit exam whenever you're ready, when you want. You can have your notes open, you can have your books open, but keep in mind that the exam is timed. You have 80 minutes to complete the exam, so you're not going to have lots of time to just look stuff up. You're going to want to have a really good foundational base before you go to write that exam. So that's why we do recommend writing that assignment, get that feedback first, do those practice exams so you've got that good knowledge base before you go into the exam. When you go to the next unit, you'll see that it's got the exact same information, same layout. So every unit is laid out the same way, it follows the same pattern. When it comes to the lessons, they can be a bit confusing, so I do want to show you how they work. So if you click on that lesson, it starts off taking you to the main page here where it lists how many lessons there are. So in this first unit, 1 on radicals, there's 5 lessons that we've got. First one's on entire radicals and mixed radicals. Second lesson's adding and subtracting radicals, multiplying radicals, and then 2 lessons on dividing. So we do recommend going in the order that it's being presented in. So, and that's just because those lessons do tend to build up on each other. So lesson 1, if I click on that button, it takes me to a page here and it gives me at the top of the page what the learning objectives are for this lesson. So this particular lesson has 3 learning objectives. With the lesson, you'll sometimes have some review videos there, some practice. When it comes to the review, if it's been a long time since you've done math, it might be a good idea to check out the video, maybe do some practice. However, if you look at the title and you're like, real numbers, hey, I know what real numbers are, or I remember how to simplify radicals, then you don't necessarily have to do that review. But if you go into your workbook lesson and you look at that lesson, you're like, I have no idea what's going on, then you should go back and just do these reviews. So it'll reintroduce those concepts that you should remember from Math 10C, but if it's been a while, you might not remember, and that's what the point is of those reviews. When it comes to the video enhanced workbook lesson, this is your mandatory main lesson information. So this is where the new stuff is. This is where you're going to be spending most of your time when it comes to learning the material. So when you click on this lesson, it's going to open up a PDF of that lesson. So it looks very much like your workbook lesson, but it does have some video links actually embedded into it as well. So it's got the little bit here. This first lesson is just a bit of introduction stuff. And when you get to the class examples, some of the class examples, some of the investigations, they're going to have these little video buttons, these blue buttons. When you click on that button, and you'll notice that when my mouse goes over top, the pointer turns into a hand. And when I click on that, it will open up a YouTube video, and in this video it's going to have an instructor going through the examples and explaining what's going on and how to go about approaching these type of problems. When you're done with you've watched the video, you can use the back arrow on your browser and it'll take you back to the PDF. Now, the nice thing too, depending on your browser, if you're in Chrome, which is one of the browsers we recommend, it will have a little menu button here. If you click on that menu button, you can then jump down to the next page that you're ready to go. So we've watched that first video already. I want to go to the second one. Sometimes they don't have a video, and at which point, if it doesn't have a video and you're like, hey, I don't understand what they're asking me to do, by all means, email the instructors. We will spend some time on those ones. But most of the class examples will have videos there for you to kind of go through and watch through. When it comes to the examples, you'll notice that after the examples, it'll sometimes say complete assignments questions 1 to 5. So what that means is that questions in the workbook assignment 1 to 5 are very similar to those first 4 class examples. These assignment questions that you find at the end of a lesson, these are for your practice. They do not need to be submitted. They're not for marks, they're just for your practice. Strongly recommend that as you go through them, check your answers to see if you're getting them right. And that's where you'll see this gold little solution button there. I go and click on that. It takes you back to this page here where it's got the full solution there. And if you want more information, you're like, hey, I don't know why that's the solution, again, just email us. When you're done and you're like, hey, I'm done for now, then you can either use the cookie cutter or the breadcrumbs or cookie crumbs links up here to go back to the main page or to your unit, or you can use the navigation button here to go to that main page as well. Both will work. I'll use this one here for now. And then you're back onto the main page. And the lesson will remember where you kind of left off at. And it'll pick up where you did leave off, and you can keep going on the next day. So that's a little bit of a navigation of how this Moodle page works. You've got the main information there. You can use this little arrow in the bottom right hand to take you back to the top page. Again, I want to reiterate, if you've got questions, that information on how to contact your instructors is in that top block there off to the right hand side, where it's math.20-1 online team at norquest.ca. And it is linked, so if you do just click on our email address, it will open up your email, and you just have to set up, type out your email, your question, and one of us will respond to you. So thank you for joining Math 20-1. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions, please don't be shy, and we're here to help.